What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MakeTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. I'm also an American Idol fan, and I've mentioned a couple times I've done this that I used to actually recap American Idol for MJ's big blog. I wrote under Sir Mac, because doing Mac the Movie Guy for American Idol recaps just felt not like the name to write under. This was not a movie. Anyway, so yeah, I stopped writing when I lost my vision, largely because the show doesn't have audio description, but also that's why I also haven't gone back to it. The show remains the longest running, least accessible reality competition series. All of its contemporaries have audio description, so I don't actually know what anybody looks like. I'm just making guesses or educated guesses or anything based off of uh, stuff online, whatever I can read, get into. Uh, yeah, I don't. We could have seven rail thin or seven massively overweight. We could have seven people with beards. We could have seven people like with pink hair. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Like there's any I don't know who's hot. I don't know who's not. Got nothing. You could have a face tattoo. I've got nothing. I got nothing on you. So I'm analyzing just purely from vocal perspective. Um, and I work outside of doing this, which is not a paying thing. Uh, yeah, it's up to you. Click like and subscribe. But I do work in music and music theater, so I work around singers all the time. I'm recapping both the top 7 and top 5 episodes. So we're now down to a top 3. So spoilers, because we're going to go through who got eliminated. I guess I'll talk about them briefly, who we lost. Both nights were Disney night because I don't know. We're at peak brand awareness and synergy. So I think they eliminated the showstoppers round. That kind of went by the wayside. I guess they felt like this group of singers were incapable of doing showstoppers. So we just had like a 2-night event of Disney. So everybody had to do 3 Disney songs this week. So I became less mad at the people who picked those songs that aren't really Disney songs, but they're like Ain't No Mountain High Enough is not a Disney song. Let's be honest. Just it's almost like saying, did it appear on something that's on Disney Plus? And I was waiting for somebody to just do Hamilton, like straight up Hamilton. I'd be like, well, Hamilton's on Disney Plus, and Lin Manuel's so why don't I get some feedback on that and bust out with some My Shot? Uh, why not? At this point, who cares? So I don't know what America's voting for anymore either. I've completely lost. I looked at the final 3 and I was like, I don't understand America. I don't get you. Uh, so in week 1, well, not week 1, top 7, we eliminated Maddie. Maddie went by, and yeah, I kind of got that. I picked up on that vibe that it was gonna go that way. Um, I didn't think she was that strong on Mother's Day night when she had to do a Disney song and uh, a Mother's Day song. She picked the less interesting of the Laura and Elena pieces. Um, but I I think it's interesting that Lynn loves her voice. I'm like, would you put her in your musical? Anyway, uh, I still think she has some issues that she has to work out vocally. I think she's too young to be singing like that, and it's putting pressure on her vocal cords. And she's just going to create and have vocal notes. But and I think she has potential. But if we don't talk about it, then she'll just end up with vocal nodes, and we lose a lot of young singers because when you're that age, your chords are still shaping. You're still kind of getting into your register, and a lot of young talent that's been exploited too early ends up not being able to sing for the duration of their career. So I don't want her to be short-lived either. It's about singing properly at that age. It's not about trying to win American Idol. But yeah, it's I knew she was going to be eliminated because she was in the bottom 2. So she would have had she would have had a better shot if we were still eliminating one person a week, because then she only needed to leapfrog one person, but she would have needed to leapfrog two people, which just seemed like an impossibility for her. So I think safe to say Maddie was seventh. Uh, I interested to know who she's going to sing with in the finale. I think ultimately at the end, Maddie doesn't quite have a lane. She could be anywhere. I'm reminded that she's from Tennessee, and it's like, are you trying to do country? Are you trying to do what would your album sound like? You know, I'm hoping she takes some time to figure that out. I'm hoping she gets with somebody who's a vocal coach and is less interested in making money from her and profiting from her right now and thinking more about career longevity. And she gets actual real feedback that she never would have gotten from these judges. Gabby, who is a great singer, I was kind of unenthused. I liked her Mother's Day piece more than, um, I liked Home. I thought she sang that well. I thought that was going to be kind of a no brainer for her. I feel like a logical choice going into it. But I'm, I didn't really love How Far I'll Go. I didn't think it worked for her because it's exactly what Lin-Manuel said. It's very wordy. And so if you're not used to that, if you're not used to doing wordy songs, they can defeat you really easily. So, and I feel like she, as much as she worked at it, she wasn't quite ready for the wordiness of it. Lin-Manuel writes music theater. At the end of the day, he doesn't really write pop music, he writes music theater, and that's what blends into these Disney songs. So he's coming at it from that approach. You know, his musical roots are there. And he's infused with a lot of things from culture and from all the things that he's listened to in his style of music and the way that he grew up, and he infuses that into music theater, which is what makes him unique. But he still is attacking it from a music theater perspective. So How Far I'll Go plays like a music theater piece, which often are very wordy because they're telling a story and a character. It's not just a pop song that repeats itself. It doesn't lend itself to runs naturally. You have to figure out how to put that in there. So I think she struggled a little bit with that, and therefore I wasn't as quite surprised that Gabby went home, because I didn't think she knocked both of her songs out of the park. I thought Home was fantastic, though. So those are the two that went home on Mother's Day night. So then we moved into the top five with the remaining contestants. So the two that aren't making the top three, we'll go ahead and knock those out of the park. Thunderstorm, I actually thought he did nicely over the course of the nights. I think we just got down to the final five and we're at a point where people have to start going home. I kind of disagree with the top three anyway, and I I get the desire. The minute that Brianna became the only female left in the competition, I was like, are we gonna have three guys? Because I have thoughts. But I think Thunderstorm earned her spot. I always knew that one of the country guys, I've been saying that in every single one of my recaps, only one of the country guys will make the top three. I did kind of think it was going to be Slater, not John. But anyway, no, I think Thunderstorm deserves Brianna's spot. So, although I also didn't think we are going to have a second winner from Hawaii that quickly. Just so, but I just think I think he did what he needed to this week. I think every time he attacked a song, the only time that I didn't like it was I felt like the levels that he gave to Colors of the Wind, which was not on the night that he was eliminated. I didn't love that as much. Colors of the Wind, when he goes into the growl part at the end. He just put a lot into it. There, can you play with all? It just not every song. When you say it's this is a weird night because it's so hard to say maintain your artistry, maintain a chunk of your artistry while also singing Disney songs, which is why it helps when Disney says, if it was in a movie, and so these people are finding songs like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, so they can, slide around the issue. I think he kind of needed to do that, or just figure out, you know, I thought his piece from Cinderella was lovely. He was less afraid of the need to be loud. He has a need to be loud to remind us that he's got a little bit of that rock infused into him. And if he doesn't know how to do a soft piece. And I think a lot of the rockers, they can do soft pieces when it matters, like when it's about an issue, or when it's a topic, or when they're creating that soft song in memory of somebody. It's not everybody screams all the time. So it was an opportunity for Thunderstorm to show that side of himself. And he did that. And he definitely did that on the night he was eliminated. I thought he was strong. I wouldn't have eliminated him, but I also think he's been one of the more consistent contestants in showing you what kind of album he would have made. And I think that's why he deserved a spot in the finale, is that of the people, he actually seems to have a place, like a genre. Like producers can come in and be like, we know what you sound like, and we know what kind of album to make for you. So here you go. Slater also, I thought, nailed the genre thing. He did Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And I didn't really think that he messed up. I kind of just thought it was like a sound thing. I just thought, because it just sounded like his mic wasn't there for him in the beginning. And then he got into it. So I wasn't that worried about it. I loved his Mother's Day song. I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was weird also in Thunderstorm's package that he did a Mother's Day thing. I was reminded the next night that he is a father of two. It would have been nice to hear that in the Mother's Day package, because it was all about how his wife supports him. But it wasn't really about her being a mother. It wasn't really about like, I mean, she's such an amazing mother to our kids. It was just about like, well, I love her because she supports me. The end. And I was like, well, this is Mother's Day. This isn't like International Women's Day. What about her? I mean, we've seen in previous seasons when people have to do a Mother's Day episode that they thank when people don't have a mother to thank, that they thank somebody who has taken on that role for them, like a teacher or somebody like that who they're not necessarily related to. We see a lot of stepmoms and stuff like that. So we see other people who fill in that spot, and it's like, well, this is the person, and this is why. And I don't have a problem with him thanking his wife. I think that's lovely, but I think it's weird that his package was cut to where he didn't ever get to mention that she was a great mother on Mother's Day. Weird. So, but I loved Slater's Bob Dylan song. I thought that was great. And of course, he took it full advantage, night two, of the if it was in a Disney movie. It doesn't need to be a Disney song. And I don't know. I think he's a consistent performer, and I think Slater also deserves a spot in the finale because, again, you know exactly what you're getting. You know what he sounds like. You know what his album's going to make. And he constantly surprises me. Maybe that's why people ran away from him, is because they started to see other sides of him in these interviews. First of all, he's like a huge Lin-Manuel Miranda fan who's seen Hamilton like multiple times, which I did not have that on my bingo card for Slater. I thought Slater was a little country. I didn't think Hamilton was his thing. And then later on, he talks about being in a jazz recital, and I'm like, wait a minute, are you covertly musically trained? Do you go to like a music magnet in your area or something? Like, I'm starting to wonder, like, is it all just like this? Is it all just a sham? Does he really not have that accent? Is he just doing that for American Idol? Uh, he feels like he's too. He starts doing these things that he gets sort of nerdy about the musicianship, the musicality of it, and I'm like, you actually seem to know a little bit more than I think a lot of people would give you credit for. A lot of these kids kind of stumble on the stage and they're just like, I'm a pretty voice. Tell me what to sing. Let's do this. I think Slater actually has some sort of understanding and has had some sort of training and feedback that have led him to this point, and he has an awareness of genres outside of his own, which is why it makes it easier for him to blend them into his style. I actually really like Slater. Um, I think probably of the final five, I think he deserved to win the most. I think he answered the question of what do I sound like? A young Morgan Wallen. And where would I fit in the genre? Well, country, you know. I think probably he makes the most sense. He's the one that actually has a chance of getting a career. Although I don't know that most of the Idol winners from New Idol are necessarily having banger careers. So maybe being in fourth place isn't the worst thing, you know, maybe fourth or fifth place. Maybe he'll still get a record deal, and then there will be less pressure on him, and he'll end up blossoming into a country star anyway, just as a byproduct, you know. So, uh, yeah, sadly, those two. Yes, I would have swapped them for Brianna and John. I think the final three should have been Jamal, Slater, and Thunderstorm. That's what I think. The thing about Brianna, it feels like I'm really hard on her. I think she's a fantastic singer who has no idea what kind of music she wants to sing. I mean, this girl is in a karaoke competition, definitively. She lacks a genre, she lacks a sound. If she sings a country piece, she'll flip on some country. If it's not country, there's no country sound in her voice at all. You know, so she is whatever she needs to be in any sort of moment. And while that seems like a good thing because you're like, wow, she can really tackle any genre. I mean, how many times do you see that in the recording industry in the world? You don't really see a lot of people just sort of like transcending genres and moving from Journey to Lauren Elena to uh you know to Disney to gospel to, you know what I'm saying, like she just doesn't, it doesn't feel like there are a lot of people who are just like, I am genreless, I do everything, and I'm also selling out stadiums, and I'm hitting number one regardless of what genre of music I'm in. I think she needed more time to figure out who she was as an artist. Uh, but she's got a killer voice. So it's like I don't know what to do about it. I really don't know what to do with her. And it goes back to what I'm saying about these people. I don't know what Jelly Roll is doing. I don't know what these I don't really know what anybody in this competition does anymore. You know, there's some people who believe these reality competition series have become more about the judges and about the contestants. I think that's a lot of that is true. We're so afraid of they're so afraid of their image, of giving feedback, that their feedback is, even when it's like slightly negative or has a negative tinge to it, it still comes off as a relatively positive comment. Like there's never like a I wouldn't have done that, the song isn't right for you, nothing like that. And we don't get enough shots of Jelly Roll actually doing anything anymore because we're so focused on these. It's like, what is he doing now? We have these guest mentors who are coming in. How is Jelly Roll helping to shape these artists? Because I'm not sure they're getting that kind of level of work. You know, behind the scenes in Original Idol, they used to have legitimate vocal coaches. Deborah Bird was a legitimate vocal coach for years. And again, they're not that concerned with, and they have to work with a wide range of artists. But I think the best thing that could happen for American Idol would be for them to actually start treating it like we're invested in all of you for the long run, not just for the season, not just to see who wins, but the possibility that you could go on to propagate and be one of these Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, Jennifer Hudsons that we keep pointing to say the show works because we've had a couple of hits. And to actually think about it as anybody who makes it this far in the competition could go on to do things. And if we give them the kind of positive feedback that they actually need, the kind of real constructive criticism, what they could go on to do. So for somebody like Brianna, actually sitting down with her and having conversations about like, where do you see yourself as an artist? What kind of music do you see yourself making? Where are you? what artist would you compare yourself to? Okay, so that's the answer. Now let's find out how we continue to show that side of you through your song choices, and how do you make that? Because theme nights are, especially when Disney Night is allowing you to choose songs that are just like from literally any movie ever. Uh, is it on Disney Plus? Cool. So, uh, yeah, there are so many opportunities for her to choose things that still shape her as an artist, that I'm not 100% sure that she still is doing what she needs to. I'm kind of afraid she's gonna win, and then people are gonna be like, I'm really intrigued to hear what her single is. I'm so intrigued to see what genre they put her in. Where are they pushing her? I thought Abby's single was really just sort of forgettable. All things considered, her new single when she came on was just like, is that on the radio? I don't. Are you trying to get it on the radio? To be fair, I think a lot of people have had forgettable singles. I would go all the way back to uh, season 11 finale when we had Philip Phillips versus Jessica Sanchez. Jessica was clearly the better singer. What was that song that they wrote for her? And to put them up against each other like that with two different songs became less about the artist and more about the song, because her song was awful and his song was instantly an earworm. Philip Phillips's song Home, like you heard that and you're like, that's the winning song. Like you just knew. It was just like, it was so obvious that the two songs were of wildly different quality, that Jessica Sanchez's Princess was never going to make. It was never going to chart. It was never going to do anything. It was never going to go anywhere. But Philip Phillips' Home was going to become one of those great idol singles, you know, uh, that was actually going to go somewhere. So, uh, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with her. I'm more interested than anything to know what kind of single she's doing, because that intrigues me. Also, they announced Jessica Simpson. I don't know who's singing with Jessica Simpson, but I'm sorry. Uh, maybe they're like semifinalists or something that are coming back. I don't know. So John Foster. So I actually started to like John more this week. He's a little bit more consistent in his sound, a little bit more consistent in his voice. He picked things that were easy and fit him nicely. He didn't overthink it too much. And I originally kind of cringed when I was like, John Foster's doing Almost There. I had a knee jerk reaction. I was like, this sounds like the worst possible thing. Somebody stop him. Who's letting him do this? I actually thought it was good. I actually thought he did a nice job with Almost There. So I thought of his two songs that he sang on Sunday night that was the better song. And I was very resistant to the idea of it going in. And I was just like, well, that was the best case scenario for that song. I thought he sang it exactly how he needed to. I think John has a strong week, and that's why he benefited from it. But I don't think that Slater and Thunderstorm didn't also have strong weeks. The thing is that when we got down to the final five, everybody had kind of done what they needed to do. And so you have to think about it in a larger picture. And so that's kind of where I struggle with John is big picture. Where does he go in the music industry? He did start to sound a little bit more with his song choices. He sounded a little bit more current. There was something about the swing of Almost There by adding a little bit of that blues swing into his voice that made him a little bit less of a complete and total throwback. Like he didn't sound like Travis Tritt anymore, because like it's great to sound like that, but that's not on the radio, you know. Uh, that's why they don't really do anything with like people who sound like Sinatra anymore. Like Idol touched on a couple of people who were doing that sort of crooner style. We had like John Stevens, made it to like fifth place while trying to sing that style back in his day. Uh, but they knew it wasn't really like a heavy thing. I mean, it's kind of like Michael Bublé kind of does that, and that's about it. And there really isn't much of a space for that. And it's a sort of like an oddity thing. So I don't know if there's a huge space for John Foster to sing throwback country versus Slater, who sounds like he's radio ready. Uh, we'll see. I'm again interested to hear what his single sounds like. I'm interested to know whether that country radio would take him and like where he would go with his throwback sound, which also seems to kind of fade. See, the thing is, like, Slater sounds more consistent from speaking voice into singing voice. John's speaking voice doesn't have that much of a country accent. He certainly doesn't sound like he's from Louisiana. Not he doesn't have a strong, thick Louisiana Bayou accent or anything like that. He doesn't sound vaguely Creole or Cajun or anything like that. Nothing that definitively feels like he bleeds Louisiana. Uh, but I actually, this week I thought was his best week. So I didn't mind that he didn't get eliminated on Sunday. I think probably, as much as I like Gabby, and I think she sang the hell out of home, I think maybe those were probably the right two if we were going based on performance alone. And then we have Jamal, who I know you're going to say, well, you saved Jamal for last, so I must think you think you win. I think Jamal is the best vocalist remaining in the competition. I also think he also lacks, he suffers from the same problem that Brianna suffers from, which is, what are you going to sing should you get a record deal? Jamal has really not been concerned with sounding current or sounding like radio ready or radio friendly. And I think that's going to be a downfall for him in the end. Is he maybe going to go a gospel route? Like Kanan's going to, obviously, sure. Maybe he's the next gospel idol. Maybe that's what he leans into, and then he doesn't have to worry about sounding top 40 ready. He just has to worry about appealing to a specific demographic and going that route. If it was based off of artistry, even though I just gave him a lot of crap, John Foster should win because he's the one who has the most artistry in it. But if it's based on straight up singing, the other two are better singers. So I don't really know what to do with this final three. It's a very weird final three. And if you had told me this was the final three earlier on in the season, I'd have been like, no, it's not. Don't lie. Don't play. I mean, I love Jamal. I think he's a great singer, but he also, going throughout the whole season, has never really made an effort to say, this is the kind of album I want to make. Him and Brianna are both trying to win competitions as parents, trying to win a karaoke competition. And I don't know that that's necessarily great for Idol in their future and being able to talk about, well, this is the album that we're going to cut for you. This is what we're going to put out on the radio. I'm so curious as to what their singles are because they have the least amount of artistry behind them. They have the least amount of, we know what kind of music we want to make. John Foster, on the other hand, has artistry coming through him. He knows what kind of an artist he is. It's just, is that artist on the radio today? Can he fit? Will he be fine? So, because he would not be the first country male winner, and not all of the country male winners have gone on to have sustainable country careers, Trent Harmon. So, just because you win in your country and a male doesn't necessarily mean you have the kind of legendary career ahead of you. That winning doesn't even mean anything anymore. You can absolutely, you don't even have to. I think Lauren Daigle proved that you don't even have to make voting rounds. So, I mean, they pointed to I don't know if she's still back there, but because I don't know who they were referencing back there when they're talking about the backup singers. And I was thinking, like, Felicia Barton for years is she still a backup singer? She didn't even make top 12. She was a semifinalist. She was eliminated in the top 24 to top 12 stage or whatever. She was eliminated, like, she's not considered a finalist. She's considered like a semifinalist. And good singer. And she was a backup singer on Idol for years. And it just kind of feels like a weird flex because she's up there with like Alison Herrera, who, came close to winning. So third place to Chris Allen and Adam Lambert. But I liked her album too, by the way. Alice's album is really nice. If you haven't listened to it, you should. Um, who's gonna win at this point? If I were to predict it, it probably isn't gonna happen. And honestly, between these three, it's tough. It's a tough call because I don't know. John doesn't really have a story behind him, like I have kids. Uh, come come help me. Like Jamal and Brianna feel like they're doing this to lift their families up. Like there's a lot riding on their back. But he's also probably going to have the best single because he's shown whoever's writing songs for them what kind of an artist he is. Um, is that going to matter? I don't know. Jamal and Brianna can sing their faces off, and if they just sing their faces off all night long, who knows? I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be Brianna. I think she benefits and has benefited from eliminating every other female in the competition. And last time around we got Abby, and I think it's possible this time around we may get Brianna. And last time I thought Will was a clear front runner heading into the finale, and he didn't win. So I think I'm going to go with somebody who I don't think would be the front runner and feels unlikely, and I have been kind of counting out, and that mostly is Brianna. So I would say Brianna wins American Idol, with John Foster in second and Jamal in third. There you go. That's my prediction. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.